Cuts and dissolves. Someone told me early on, if you can't say it with a cut or dissolve, you don't need to say it. And to a large extent, I still believe that's true today. None of the fundamentals or principles of directing that we've covered so far hinge on fancy transitions or effects. They don't. In fact, I believe nearly all effects in live event production, even dissolves if they have no purpose, have a greater potential to distract from, rather than add to, the overall visual conversation which we're responsible for as a production team. Take, for example, any well-produced movie or YouTube video. Did they randomly dissolve from shot to shot in the middle of a conversation? No, never. If they do dissolve, it almost certainly happens at the end or beginning of a segment. Why? Because transitions mean things. Everything says something in your visual conversation. So let's talk a little bit more about cuts and dissolves and what they mean. Cuts are meant to be seamless. That is, they shouldn't be noticed. As you go from source to source, the visual conversation simply continues without interruption. Although cuts happen instantly, they should be your default transition. Let me say that again. Cuts should be your default transition. They keep the conversation moving forward without being noticed. Dissolves, on the other hand, generally indicate the passage of time or a change of location. The same goes for all other effects like wipes, DVE effects, stingers, you get the idea. You tend to see dissolves in montages regularly to show the passage of time. That's on purpose. There's a lot of ways to dissolve badly and only a few ways to do it well. Dissolves can be used tastefully, in music segments, for artistic purposes, or during an emotional, maybe slower part of your service. Or dissolves can be used badly and make your subject accidentally look like they have 4 arms, or set up some seriously awkward overlaps, none of which you want. Additionally, dissolves also don't always work well in a re-edit or a highlight reel. The slow mood of a dissolving moment may fit really well while directing live, but in the context of an edit, it can throw things off and eliminate an otherwise great-looking shot from the edit. As a director, I used to dissolve a lot more than I do today. I found a really helpful exercise is to force yourself to use cuts only as a way of improving your directing. Dissolves can act as a crutch for the director who's indecisive. If you're not exactly sure when to cut, throw in a dissolve, right? No, but a cut, on the other hand, forces you to choose a specific beat or phrase or moment to cut on. It requires you to live with that decision, and be in the practice of making quick decisions with purpose makes you a better director. So, dissolves are for limited artistic use, indicating the passage of time or a change in location. Which is why I want to talk about my one exception, or really an application of the rule of how and when I use dissolves. I still like to dissolve into graphics and out of video playback. Here's why. If I'm going from cameras to a full screen graphic, a dissolve makes sense. In my brain, we're going from camera world to graphics world. It's a change of location. The same thing happens when we come out of a video. We're coming from the world of the playback video back into cameras, which feels like a change of location to me. Again, this is more about personal taste than a directive, but I wanted to communicate clearly how I justify my current understanding, and not just say I'm against all dissolves blanket wide. What matters is making sure we make choices that add to the visual conversation. So, in conclusion, use cuts as your default transition. Cuts go unnoticed and keep the visual conversation moving forward. Using cuts also forces you to be decisive, training you to become a better director. Dissolves show the passage of time or a change in location. Use dissolves sparingly and with purpose.